How's everybody doing? Good morning. God bless you all. I'm Oscar Blue for Border Network News and America's Voice. How's everybody doing? If it froze, go back and then come back in. How's everybody doing? God bless everybody in my country of Mexico, and God bless everybody in my city of Tijuana. God bless everybody in the United States of America. Let's thank God that we have two hands, two legs, a mind that we can think, and a heart that we can feel, and a voice that we can talk, and eyes that we can see. How's everyone doing? Beautiful Thursday. Over here it's beginning to get sunny every day, and it's getting, a little bit chilly late at night, but ultimately it's good. We're good. Good morning to everybody. What is going on with the asylum cases? What recently happened in Juarez and El Paso, it is amazing. What recently happened in Juarez and El Paso, a big amount of people from Cuba just crossed as, in an atmosphere of help. They just crossed, and they crossed as a sense of emergency in Juarez. And why they crossed illegally and in a massive amount? Because of the policies of Trump right now. The Donald J. Trump just said, we are going to give you a court date, but we are going to return you back to Mexico. Knowing that Mexico just agreed on being a third world secure country. That is why a lot of people don't want to be a third world secure country. The asylum case process and the refugee process, it is set by the United Nations. This is why I completely disagree with the United Nations. The United Nations are the ones that they put the process for every country to migrate. But in the particular case of the United States, the left, the liberals, and the socialists don't agree with the asylum and refugee process. That is documented. You go to a court, they appoint you a court date, and when they appoint you a court date, you wait. Then you go back to court, they give you another court. They say if you agree or if you're not eligible for an asylum case, and if you're not eligible for an asylum case, they will return you back again, and so and so and so. Now, being that the policies right now with the Department of Homeland Security in the United States, it's a stoplight for people. They're saying, "Oh my God, he doesn't have the two hands on his steering wheel." Being that right now, the Department of Homeland Security is returning everybody back to Mexico. A lot of these people are taking the decision on rushing the border. It happened in Juarez not too long ago, last week, with a good amount of people from Cuba. They rushed the border and crossed illegally to get the political asylum in the United States, knowing that they don't want to be returned back home. Why they crossed? Because a rumor spread that the Department of Homeland Security was going to retain them in the United States. So because of that, a lot of these people crossed. Now, what is happening in Tijuana? In Tijuana, according to Pastor Alberto from the shelter Agape, he went the other day to the asylum seeker line in El Chaparral. The Customs Border Patrol, or the California Border Patrol, was not giving court numbers, and the Department of Homeland Security was not giving court numbers to the asylum refugees. The fact is that we're not giving asylum numbers. Number one, what I just told you, a lot of these immigrants, they don't want to wait anymore in Mexico. So what they're doing is they're clogging more the system. They're clogging the courts. They're flooding the courts. So now the court system, what has been happening for a little while, the court system is flooded. So the California Border Patrol or the Custom Border Patrol and the Department of Homeland Security, they're not giving out court numbers. So how many they have court dates, and what is the speculation of what they're trying to do? Listen to this. Between migrants and between shelters, all of them, they're speculating, and they're giving themselves advice, as they are tired of be waiting in Mexico. They are tired of be waiting in the country of Mexico, and they are tired of being returned back home every time. So their speculation between them is that if you already have a court date, and if you already have an appointed court date, that the amount of people that they already have an appointed court date for March is the number of 1,200 individuals that they have an appointed court date. The ones that they don't have an appointed court date, listen to this, there are around 12,000 migrants in Tijuana. And this is the rumor of what they're trying to do. They say that if they are continuing to return migrants into Mexico, and they're not giving court dates into Mexico, what they recommend is to jump and to cross illegally through the wall. They're not going to wait. This is what they are speculating between shelters and between migrants. Around 12,000 migrants we have in our city of Tijuana. That is a small number, speculated number. That number, what they're saying is that if the court system from the United States is not given right now court dates or appointed asylum court dates, they are going to jump the wall, all of them. Now, between them and between shelters and between migrants, they're saying, if you already have an appointed court date, and if you already have a legal process, they recommend don't jump. Don't jump at all. Go to your court date, because the judge is going to be really mad, that you jump the fence knowing that you have an appointed court date. Who teaches all these people how to do this? That is a good question. And who teaches all the shelters and all the migrants how to cheat, or who's advising them? You know, we need to jump, all of us, so the court system will take us, and they won't refuse us in a massive amount. So this is a strong speculation, people. Now, I'm going to go to the Pastor Alberto later on this week, get an interview with him, boots on the ground, and for him to confirm all of this speculation. It is not a big speculation, but it's a fact almost, that what they're trying to do is, if the United States government is returning them back without giving them an appointed court date, they are going to jump in a massive amount. And around the numbers that they are saying that they don't have an asylum case or an asylum appointed court date, it's around 12,000. The ones that they have an asylum appointed court date, it's around 1,200. My God. Woo! That is a big number. That is a big number. The ones that they have already an appointed court date, it is a small number. It is 1,200. Now I don't get scared when they talk about 1,200, 2,000, 3,000. For me, it's a small number now. A lot of people in the United States, they say, oh my God, 1,200, that is a lot of people. For me, it's not really. It's not anymore. At first, it was like, oh, that's a big number, man. 1,200 people? Wow. For me, it's not anymore. We got accustomed to the fact that we hear 6,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. But now because of the policies of, getting more strict in immigration and getting more strict on, the process of asylum and refugee cases, the government of the United States is returning back migrants without getting an asylum number and without getting an asylum case. What took the decision of taking this? I believe, in my opinion, that the same system that they're using to migrate, and the same system by the United Nations to ask for the asylum and to ask for the refugee asylum case, it is incorrect. Why? Because of their influx and because of their irregular migration through the borders, crossing illegally and asking for the asylum through not a port of entry, that is what it has the system all backed up. So all the courts are flooded, and people that they are waiting for their legal process to do it legally through a port of entry, they're getting denied. That is what is happening right now. And all the people that they want to do things legally, they're getting denied because the courts are flooded. There's no chance for you to get a court date. It's just they're backing the system up. And what they're doing is, this is part of the socialist, anarchist agenda. What they're doing is creating chaos, so the system will break, so the system will collapse, so the immigrants will collapse, and it will get into a point that they will say, let them in. That is, the whole, the goal, the objective to get to that particular point. It is it's part two for everybody that is just joining in. I was doing a video and Facebook dropped my feed, so I will continue again. Apparently, so what I was telling you is the Department of Homeland Security right now is taking a decision of not giving asylum case numbers, and I'm not giving appointed refugee court case numbers, court asylum case numbers. So the migrants are taking the decisions into their own hands, and they're getting desperate. And this is the situation. They're saying, you know what, if the United States government and the Department of Homeland Security is not giving us asylum case numbers, is not giving us court asylum cases, appointed court asylum cases, we are going to jump the fence. Now, do you know how many of them are awaiting over here with Tijuana? 12,000 of them. That is a big number. That is a huge number. Now, 12,000 of them are awaiting, but 1,200, they already have their appointed court case. They are recommending that the people that they don't have, that they already have in an appointed court case, don't, a court asylum case, don't jump the fence. This is, again, another strategy that is given. Who's telling all these people what to do and what not to do? It has a lot to do with the left. It has a lot to do with, intelligence from the left, from the United States, being over here and indoctrinating, the migrants and telling them, hey, you know what, this is the way that you need to do it. It has a lot to do with, how, migrants are listening to activists and are listening to the left over here in our country. And it has to do particularly the majority with activists and liberals and, the left from the United States in our country. It has to do a lot with that. I'm sorry. And these, they get in the idea of, you know what? They're not giving us an asylum case. We're going to jump. You're going to give us the asylum case because, it's our right. Asylum, it is a right of everybody. I'm not going to deny that. I'm sorry, people, if you guys get upset or you guys get mad. It's the right of everybody to ask for the political asylum. It is the right of the country to say it is eligible for an asylum case or not. That is the way it works. And the United Nations is trying to break that process. And by causing all of this, like I just told you, all these movements of migrants is destabilize economies and destabilizing borders. I've been so emphatic on telling you guys this. And why I say this, because of this situation of right now, the court system is flooded because of all the irregular entrances through the mountains, through not the port of entry. The court system is flooded, so they're creating chaos in the court system, in the legal system, in the immigration legal system. They're creating chaos now there. That is their goal. That is their ultimate objective, to break the immigration system, to break the laws of immigration, and to ultimately one day don't have laws, and the New World Order will enter, and this is going to be the new immigration reform. It's crazy, the strategy, but that is how they're working. And particularly in the United States, believe me, it's working right now because they're flooding the courts. This is the number one reason why the President of the United States told everybody, hey, you know what, they're trying to break our immigration system. This is their strategy. This is their end goal. This is the end game. We need to do something about it. And, if we already flooded in the court system, how are we going to give out more numbers? We need to control that first, and then we can, give out more numbers. But because they're not giving out more numbers, immigrants are getting desperate, as more as they are, and they have another option. And their option is to jump illegally through the wall. And it's around the number of 12,000. We're going to go later on to the Pastor Alberto, with Pastor Alberto in Shelter Agape. We're going to go with him and talk to him about, what is going on in the situation, that what is happening with this strong speculation that is occurring in our city of Tijuana. And trying to figure it out. If this is true, my God, whoo! If this is true, people, my God. Wow and wow. There's something needs to happen, and somebody needs to do something about it. In Juarez, it just recently happened in El Paso, and this is amazing. The desperation is leading people to say, you know what, we don't care anymore. Jump. And that is awful. That is what the United Nations is creating. Risking lives, desperation, chaos, and depression and oppression and all of this stuff. The United Nations is creating this. It's chaos, it's socialism. All of this, it is what it brings. Look what is happening in Venezuela. Look what is happening in Nicaragua. Look what is happening in Chile. Look what is happening in all the radical, countries that they have radical anarchism and radical activism. Exactly that is happening. Look what is happening in the border between Colombia and Venezuela. It is exactly the same. And look, the example much more given. Look what is happening in our country, and look what is happening right now in Greece. It is exactly the same situation. So they're trying to, flood the courts so the system will break. That is their end game. In my eyes, in my perception, and a lot of people's perception, it is exactly the same. So that is the first topic of the day. Second topic, and it has to do a lot with this one. An migrant from Honduras committed suicide in Tapachula. This is sad. This is sad because the increase of numbers of deaths, it was on the year 2019 to 2020, it was more than 400 migrants that died. A lot of them, 176, I think that it was the number that passed away or they died on their efforts to go to the American Dream was 176 through Texas. So, and a lot of them through sea have died, and it is just sad what is occurring. It is sad what is occurring. And this suicide from this individual, and why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this subject up of the immigrant committing suicide? An immigrant in Tapachula from Honduras committed suicide. They were renting an apartment, and they already had 4 months in their waiting process for them to get, the visa of transit. There is another process that is, interfering with them migrating freely without a document. So, an immigrant, from Honduras committed suicide. And why? His brother came, he saw him hanging from a tree, and his brother explained to everybody that it is because of the depression that they are feeling. It is because of the suffering of the sentiment that they are not going to get to another place to migrate. And it's because of the suffering and depression and the oppression that they feel about the authorities, the Mexican authorities, and also the sentiment that they are never going to get to their objectives. Whose fault is it? And this is to blame fingers and to point fingers and to blame people. Whose fault is it that we have all these sad cases? Whose fault is it? Who provoked all of this massive migration? Who provoked all of this influx of migrants? Who created the global compact of immigration? Who created this massive migration without not caring about migrants' lives and the aftermath of the migrants? Who created this demonic global compact of immigration? And it, because of the global compact of immigration, it has an aftermath. And the aftermath is sometimes depression, impossible dreams, and false promises. Who created all of this? This is why the globalist agenda needs to stop. They don't care about lives. Do you hear Alexandria Ocasio, Veronica Escobar, Rashida Tlaib, or Ilhan Omar talking about this kind of cases in their live streams and their Twitter accounts? Do you hear them talk about that? They don't care about the lives of these immigrants, that they're losing their lives. This is sad. And I feel sad for the immigrant that committed suicide because of the depression of not getting somewhere. Where is a false promise? Where is an impossible dream? Where is almost impossible to migrate and to ask for the asylum? Why they don't tell all these people the truth, that it's almost impossible to get the asylum in the United States. There's a possibility. Dream is big, and nobody can tell you that you cannot accomplish anything. But there's also Canada. There's also other places that you can migrate and exercise a better life. Why the left and why the United Nations are not saying anything about this? And they don't care about migrants. I've been telling you guys this. Where is the International Commission of Human Rights? Talking to migrants and giving them genuine and legitimate legal advice about what is happening in every country. Why this young fella committed suicide because of depression, that he cannot migrate and he cannot exit Mexico. It's Mexico's fault now? Is the citizens of Mexico's fault now? It is the United States' fault? It is Donald Trump's fault. It is because of that. These left and these Democrats are going to start blaming this. No, it is your agenda. And it is the United Nations agenda that is pushing this. And it's because of them that we are suffering and they are suffering. Do you think that that we live on a border city, we like to see people suffer? Do you think like me, Oscar Blue, likes to go to a shelter and see people go hungry? And see people have a false dream? And see people have almost an impossible dream? And see people being lied to? That they're saying, they come to me and say like, Mr. Blue, do you not like us? No, I like you. I'm an immigrant also. But let's do things legally to the port of entry. What they told you? Oh, they told me that it was going to be real easy. That I was just going to go and just, ask for the asylum. No, 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 no. That is not the way. Let me educate you. Let me tell you how it is. Do you know about Canada? No, I didn't know about Canada. Why all the left and why all these United Nations people and the International Commission of Human Rights is not saying nothing to these people? It's an unhuman act. It is an unhuman act. And it's bringing desperation. And it's bringing all these cases that it's horrible to hear that they're committing suicide. And they're not caring about their lives. It's sad. It's sad, and I'm rest in peace this migrant that, you know, he took away his life because of the situations that they are occurring in our country and the impossible, almost all the impossible ways to migrate. And it is because of the United Nations. They're in their false narrative and pushing all these caravans and not caring about what every migrant feels when they're migrating. This is what it pushes the situations in terms of what is really happening. Nobody's saying nothing about it, and nobody is explaining nothing about it. You don't see no congresswoman talking about the situations of all these people and how they're living. Nobody. You don't see them. You don't care about their lives. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's up to citizens like us to go over there and educate them and tell them, you know what, there is a chance, and there's a bigger chance over here in this country. You can do this, you can do that. But crossing illegally to the port of entry is not going to help. The socialist and open border agenda, open border mafia, and also the United Nations and all of this people, all of this, it's part of what is happening in the situation that is occurring right now. All of this, people dying, people suffering, people committing suicide. It is sad. And it is a situation where, you know, nobody's pointing fingers and nobody's doing anything about it. Who is going to respond for that young man's life? Like the two young men that they got killed with a prostitute over here. A mother crossing through a road in Tijuana and getting killed, and one of their sons getting killed, and the other one later on dying because she wanted to cross through the wall. Who is bringing all this chaos to our city and to our country? Who is doing it? It is the United Nations. And if it wasn't for them and their globalist agenda of all these politicians and the left, we wouldn't be having this situation right now. And people wouldn't be committing suicide in foreign countries because of immigration situations. Let's be real and let's go to the main problem. You take away the globalist compacts of immigration, and we will create another system, another way to migrate correctly, without bringing chaos, without bringing anarchy, without bringing destabilizing economies and destabilizing borders, without bringing more child trafficking, without bringing more drug trafficking, without bringing more sex trafficking. And because of the globalist agendas, you take that out and you put a strong immigration reform and you bring a strong immigration process, and we wouldn't be having these problems. But the United Nations is so disorganized that they don't have a health department, they don't have a medical department, they don't have a legal process. Caravans are not the way to migrate. There is risking people's lives, risking kids' lives, risking, everything, the trafficking of children, nonprofit organizations from the United States being over here and taking advantage of migrants, legal lawyers working unlawfully in our country, violating our Constitution, activism, anarchism from the United States coming over here to Mexico, foreigners helping foreigners in a foreign country. Amazing. And all of this started happening because of the United Nations and their globalist compacts of immigration. And now the globalist compact of education is coming on the 14th of May. And it's going to be set on the table for Mexico and the United States to sign in Canada. And then after that is going to be the global compact of the world environment. Another one to control the weather, to control industries, to control and to be the monopoly. It's pieces of the puzzle being put together. Is the new world order. Is the new world order. We got already the global compact of immigration. We got people migrating to borders. You know, we're destabilizing economies and we're open the borders to have control of every country. We're doing that. Now, we need to educate people and we need to tell them, since they are young and since they are kids, how this globalist agenda, is occurring and how we're going to educate them to the future. You know, a hell with their history, a hell with the United States and their four founding fathers, a hell with the Constitution, a hell with Mexico and their beautiful Aztec culture, a hell with the revolutionary heroes of the Mexico, and a hell with the independence of Mexico. We don't care about that. We don't care about that history. We're going to put the globalist history right now. Let's control, since now they're their kids. Let's control this. A new educational system. Now, after that, we need to control the masses. Now we need to control the industries. Now we need to give the power to the state to create socialism. What we need to do, we need to take out the big monsters, the big companies, the big monopolies, that they are taking, the control of the world. We need to take out the banks, so the elite can have the control of the state. Let's create a global compact of the environment. Globalist agendas, little by little, piece by piece. And nobody cares about people. Nobody cares about people. They're using migrants for their globalist agendas. They're not using migrants to help. They're using them for their globalist agendas only.